Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast.
Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for 1st to 15th of January 2021.
Let's begin with corporate news.
Jubilant Food Works Limited will invest Rs 92 crore to buy a 10.76% stake in Barbecue Nation Hospitality Limited, which runs the popular Barbecue Nation chain of restaurants. Ford Motor Company is reversing plans to cede most of its Indian operations to Mahindra & Mahindra Limited, deciding to pull out of a proposed joint venture and continue its standalone business in the country. Zomato said it hit record gross merchandise value on the 31st of December. Rival Swiggy hit a peak of 5,500 orders per minute on the 31st evening and its base of new users doubled. Indians saw off 2020 with relief and mountains of biryani and pizza. Private equity firm KKR is setting up a private infrastructure investment trust to house operating renewable energy assets it aims to acquire in India, said two people aware of the development, requesting anonymity. The Commerce Ministry has sought financial support from its finance counterpart to pay compensation to the employees of public sector trading firm MMTC under its VRS scheme. Tesla Incorporated fell just shy of its goal of delivering at least 500,000 vehicles after the COVID-19 outbreak temporarily closed the company's lone US car plant. L&T Hydrocarbon Engineering, a wholly owned subsidiary of Larsen & Toubro, announced that it has bagged an over to 7,000 crore project to set up dual-feed cracker unit in Rajasthan. Reliance Industries Limited on Monday said it has no plans of entering contract or corporate farming, and it has not purchased any agricultural land in India for the purpose of contract farming. Home services marketplace Urban Company saw its consolidated losses widen to Rs 155.17 crore in financial year 2020, on account of higher expenditure, even as its total income almost doubled, as per regulatory documents. Oaktree has proposed to hold DHFL's stake in Pramerica Life Insurance through an India Incorporated Alternative Investment Fund to comply with FDI rules, which restrict foreign ownership in insurers to 49%. The earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization touched an all-time high Rs 160 lakh crore in the September quarter, as against Rs 102 lakh crore in the preceding June quarters. Ministry of Corporate Affairs on December 22 issued notification to extend the suspension of insolvency proceedings by another 3 months, with effect from December 25 till March 25, 2021. Tesco underpaid staff by a total £5.1 million, while Pizza Hut failed to pay staff £8,45,936. The list published by Britain's Business Ministry did not distinguish between employers. Many of Tesla's short sellers have closed out their positions over the course of 2020, with short interest falling to 6% of the float from nearly 20% a year ago. Bajaj Auto reported an 11% increase in total sales at 372,532 units in December 2020, as compared to sales of 336,055 units in December 2019. Cred raised $81 million in its Series C round at a post-money valuation of $806 million. The company also bought shares worth $1.2 million, about 9 crore, from employees. Hyundai Motor Company has asked its vendors, including tire makers Continental AG, Aptiv plc and others, avoid any disruptions in output in future and cut its dependence on China. IDFC First Bank hiked interest rate on savings account balances, up to Rs 1 lakh to 7%. It was 6% earlier. The rate compares favorably with 3 to 4% in major private sector banks. US private equity investor KKR has achieved $3.9 billion for its maiden infrastructure fund. In Asia, KKR Asia Pacific Infrastructure Investors SCSP focused on infrastructure-related investments across Asia Pacific. CTS Corporation has entered an agreement to acquire Servian, a Sydney, Australia-based, privately held enterprise transformation consultancy specializing in data analytics, artificial intelligence, digital services, experience design, and cloud. SoftBank Group Corporation's Vision Fund sold about $2 billion in Uber Technologies Incorporation's stock, Cashing in after an increase in the ride-hailing giant's shares, India's biggest online education startup, Byju's, has signed a deal to acquire brick-and-mortar test prep leader, Akash Educational Services Limited for $1 billion. Paytm Money now provides futures and options trading on its platform. The platform has launched this service at 10 rupees for all futures and options trades. Private equity firm, Motilal Oswal Real Estate will raise up to 800 crore for its fifth fund to provide construction finance to realty projects across 7 major cities. Platform targets a user base of 100 million by 2023 to 2025 from the current 6 million. Paytm Money will raise an additional 500 crore from OCL as it looks to achieve break-even. Offer for sale. In sale opens on the 14th of January 2021 for non-retail investors. 15th January is for retail investors. Government of India would divest 5% equity with a 5% green shoe option. The move could open up new investment avenues such as mutual funds, corporate bonds, commercial papers of leading private banks, and even equities. The battle for Indian viewers has intensified among video streaming services, with Amazon Prime Video rolling out mobile-only plan at 89 rupees per month. About a year after rival Netflix introduced similar plan at 199 rupees.
Let's begin with market news.
Improved cement prices in the east, availability of coal from Meghalaya for regional players, and rising operating efficiency and some of the key positives. There was an overall widespread positive sentiment on the back of the fresh US stimulus, the Brexit deal, and expectations that the vaccine rollout will bring better days. The Wyss Laboratories revenues grew 33.4% year-over-year to Rs 3,480 crores in H1 FY21. Net profit grew 60.8% year-over-year to Rs 1,012 crores in line with the strong operational performance. The government is looking to cut its 54% holding in the firm as part of Prime Minister Modi's privatization drive, which will also see management control shift to the successful bidder. India climbed 2 notches in 2020 to take the 8th spot among the world's top stock markets, as a blistering equities rally anchored by hopes of a quick economic recovery helped the country. Based on the DGCA data, if the Tatas bag Air India and eventually consolidate their aviation interests, their likely domestic market share would be 23.2%. Gold prices in India had been trading in a very narrow range over the past 2 weeks. Fresh decline in US real yields and a weak US dollar lifted gold prices. India rupee jumped against the US dollar, tracking a broader weakness in greenback and higher domestic equity markets. Currency traders will closely track Georgia Senate runoffs. The merger, which will create mega stainless steel entity and largest stainless steel company in India, will also help the firm become one of the top 10 stainless steel companies in the world. Domestic brokerage Emkay has upgraded its target price on SBI, saying that India's biggest lender is well positioned to ride the economic recovery and further consolidate market share. Alibaba aims to raise at least $5 billion but could wind up with more depending on the reception. The deal will be a multi-tranche offering, with specific tenors yet to be determined. Coal India Limited has failed to impress the street with its December sales numbers. Sales volumes declined 2.1% year-on-year, albeit on a high base. At close of trade, the total market valuation of all listed firms on the BSE stood at $2.6 trillion. Equity indices declined for the second straight session. Oil prices were steady after hitting fresh 11-month highs on a fall in US stockpiles and in the wake of a pledge by Saudi Arabia to cut output by more than expected. Unreliable flows and inconsistent narratives have sent different stock markets in Asia sharply higher, with many now outperforming US equities. At the close of trade, the company's market valuation was at Rs 1,1671.34 crore on the BSE. Tata Consultancy Services reported a healthy set of Q3 fiscal year 21 results. PAT of Rs 8,701 crore was above their estimate of Rs 8,578 crore estimate on the back better operating performance. Commodity investors are back in full force, with record wagers that crops, metals and oil are set for a rally. Stock 600 soared to its highest in almost 20 years as chip makers were boosted by earnings reports from US and Asia bellwethers. Optimism has prevailed since the first COVID-19 vaccine was announced in early November. As per depositories data, FPIs invested a net Rs 4,819 crore in equities and Rs 337 crore in debt segment between January 1st and 8th. Cryptocurrencies plunged on Monday, with Bitcoin dropping as much as 21%, the worst two-day tumble in the digital currency since March, stoked concern that the polarizing cryptocurrency boom may run out of steam. India's key money market rates and yields on short-term debt are set to rise after the central bank took its first small step to unwind emergency pandemic measures. Avenue Supermarts Limited, which runs the Mart chain of retail stores, is on the road to normalcy faster than anticipated. The December quarter results announced on Saturday, with standalone revenue growth at 10% year-on-year, are testimony to that. For capital goods and engineering companies, a key concern during the first half of this fiscal year was labor shortage. Execution of ongoing projects had taken a severe hit due to supply-side issues, weighing on overall earnings performance. Notwithstanding the disruption seen in Q1, investor confidence in Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals Limited has improved significantly. The company's consumer electrical durables has continued to see strong demand due to work-from-home culture. Aadhar Housing Finance Limited, controlled by Blackstone Group Incorporations, is planning to file a draft prospectus for its IPO in India as soon as this month, according to people familiar with the matter. Japan's benchmark Nikkei stock average closed at its highest level in 3 decades, helped by a rally in tech shares and better-than-expected core machinery orders. Indigo Paints Limited will launch its IPO on the 20th of January to raise around 1,170 crore. The price band has been set at 1,488 to 1,490 rupees a share for the 3-day public offering. Indian Railway Finance Corporation Limited, the dedicated market borrowing arm of the Indian Railways, has raised 1,398.63 crore from 31 anchor investors ahead of its public issue. Public sector GAIL announced share buyback of 6.97 crores, equity shares each at a price of 150 rupees, for an aggregate consideration of 1,046.35 crore.
Let's begin with economy news.
Due to delay in refund of money deducted on account of failed banking transactions, Consumer Protection Regulator has flagged this issue to RBI, seeking its intervention to ensure banks refund money on time. India's power consumption grew by 6.1% to 107.3 billion units in December 2020, showing spurt in economic activities. The country's rabi food grains production, including wheat, in the ongoing 2020-21 crop year is expected to be better than the previous year's record of 153.27 million ton. The country's exports declined marginally by 0.8% to $26.89 billion in December 2020, due to contraction in sectors like petroleum, leather and marine products. GST officers have unearthed tax evasion of Rs 832 crore, by way of manufacture and clandestine supply of gudkha or pan masala, or tobacco products, and arrested one person. Union Minister said India has become power surplus under leadership of Prime Minister over the past 6 years and is also witnessing the highest growth rate in renewable energy in the world. The government has identified investment prospects worth Rs 1.02 lakh crore across sectors overseen by 23 key ministries and departments. As it seeks to fast-rekindle growth impulses, the 10th installment of Rs 6,000 crore to the states to meet the GST compensation shortfall, taking the total amount provided so far under this window to Rs 60,000 crore, after an increase in purchases by domestic buyers. The textile industry in Gujarat is now witnessing encouraging export demand from Europe, USA, Australia and New Zealand. Britain offered $6.2 billion support package for businesses to soften an expected recession caused by a surge in COVID-19 cases that has prompted a third national lockdown. RBI announced operationalization of Payment Infrastructure Development Fund scheme, which is intended to subsidize deployment of payment acceptance infrastructure in Tier 3 to Tier 6 centers, with special focus on northeastern states. The Emirate of Dubai has announced a new stimulus package worth 315 million dirhams, $86 million, to help the economy cope with the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The United States trade deficit surged to its highest level in more than 14 years in November, as businesses boosted imports to replenish inventories, offsetting a rise in exports. Jammu and Kashmir administration announced a new industrial developmental scheme, with a total outlay of rupees 28,400 crore to encourage new investment and to take industrial development to block level. US economy shed jobs for the first time in 8 months in December as the country buckled under an onslaught of COVID-19 infections, suggesting a significant loss of momentum. The country's foreign exchange reserves surged by $4.483 billion to touch a record high of $585.324 billion in the week ended January 1st. The National Highways Authority of India is looking to raise around Rs 65,000 crore in the next fiscal year, and the Finance Ministry is likely to include it in the upcoming budget. A group of economists asked Prime Minister to rationalize direct and indirect tax regimes, undertake further bank capitalization, accelerate privatization and boost public spending on infrastructure projects to create jobs. RBI has expressed some concerns over zero-coupon bonds for the recapitalization of public sector banks, and discussion is on between the central bank and finance ministry to find a solution. The government has paid Rs 1,364 crore to 20.48 lakh undeserving beneficiaries under its ambitious PM Kisan scheme. India's focus on self-reliance in manufacturing through curbs on unnecessary imports, as domestic industry becomes competitive, leads to trade deficit to $57.74 billion in the few months of financial year 2021. Indian traders have been contracted to export of 70,000 tons of 100% broken rice for January and February shipments at around $310 per tons, on a free on-board basis. With progress in developing an effective vaccine for COVID-19, the expected real GDP to grow at 11% in financial year 22, from the estimated contraction of 7% to 7.5% in financial year 21. Amid poultry sector facing bird flu threat, Maharashtra Animal Husbandry Minister said, government will soon take steps to ensure that unorganized players engaged in poultry farming get insurance facilities. The scheme specifies setting up national faceless penalty centers, regional penalty centers for execution of penalty proceedings, such that penalty orders is issued correctly and undergoes review before issued to an assessors. The retail inflation, which is measured by CPI, was 6.93% in November 2020. Softening of vegetable and food prices, a low base effect played vital roles in decline of inflation. The government data comes just 2 days after a report by payroll processor, ADP, found that the private sector lost 123,000 jobs in December, the first decline since April. China recovers fast ahead of most large economies, but the recovery is still unbalanced and facing significant downside risks. Seeing growth at around 2% in 2020 and 8% in 2021. PPF rules don't allow investors to open and operate 2 accounts, however, you can get the second account merged with the first account, provided you are able to prove that the second account open was not deliberate. There are not many fixed income products available to retail investors that offer rates between 6.82% and 7.15% for the long term, and for investment amounts as low as 10,000 rupees.